Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dan. Rob isn't here, but I'm here for you just as much. Thank you for tuning in to this Rob and Dan show. Special comment, we'll call it. I've had some thoughts recently on some updates to the Retake Mass Effect effort. Of course, if you follow that on Twitter, it's hashtag Retake Mass Effect. The effort essentially is to stipend EA and BioWare for a new free ending that is much better, so much better than the one that we have currently for Mass Effect 3. And there really is only one ending. You know, you have the different color of explosions, the different colors of waves that shoot out from the Mass Effect relays, and of course the little breathing thing at the end that really doesn't mean much at all in the first place. Now, I didn't want to talk so much about that, but I will. My main comment here is going to actually be about the idea of an indoctrination theory that's sprung up recently that actually believes BioWare is the greatest storyteller of all time, apparently. I happen to disagree entirely. So we're going to start out with some basics, lay some groundwork. For those of you that want to know exactly why there's so much anger and hate built up, not necessarily being expressed, but being built up on the part of players of Mass Effect 3, the first link in the bottom part of the description is a link to a video by Jeremy Johns, who really just hits the nail on the head as to why everyone is so ticked off about the situation. I fully recommend you all watch this. It's very important that you have an understanding of what I'm talking about if you don't know, and his video does a very good job of explaining it. So that's the first link down in the description. Now then, with that being said, and you having watched that video, hopefully, here's where I stand on the subject of the Mass Effect 3 ending. I think it was horrible. I think it was horse duty, to say the least. I didn't like it. I was not satisfied by it. I thought it did not bring the resolution we, as Mass Effect players, needed from a game that we have put over 100 hours into developing our relationships, our friendships, and our choices within the galaxy at large. The alliances that were formed, the people we destroyed, the races we destroyed. For example, the Rachni. You could have saved them a couple of times. On one of my playthroughs, I didn't save them any time. On another one of my playthroughs, I saved them both times. And guess what? On both playthroughs, got the exact same ending anyhow. And that's wrong. That's just plain wrong. But with that being said, that's the material on the ending. And you've heard me talk about this on the podcast before, which I will link at the very bottom of the description for this video. Back to the subject at hand, and the entire indoctrination theory. Now, the big problem I have with this is that the indoctrination theory not only insists that somehow there's this magical series of different hints and events throughout the entire Mass Effect 3 game, not just the ending, but the game, that hints that this is what's happening at the end. The Reapers are trying to fully indoctrinate Shepard, and that there is a DLC coming, and that it was planned out all along, which is insulting to say the least. My problems with that are this. One is too tinfoil hat. It is entirely too tinfoil hat. And if you agree or disagree with me, really, both ways, you really should hear the full story on the indoctrination theory. So the second link in the description is going to be a video done by, and I'm going to make sure I get his name right. It is Angry Joe of angryjoeshow.com, who did a really good comprehensive video. It's like 23 minutes long, of reasons why the indoctrination theory works. He also does a couple reasons why it doesn't work, but they're actually not well represented in the video. The video is pretty much why the indoctrination theory works. watch that before you move on ahead in the video to make sure you have a firm grasp of what the argument is in the first place, because I'm not going to argue for it. So go ahead, click that link, the second link in this video's description, watch that. Now that people have watched it, hopefully, or at least you understand what the indoctrination theory is, my thought is this. First off, we had tinfoil hat. Way to tinfoil hat. It's assuming and theory crafting almost way too many facts into the equation. It assumes a lot where, in all honesty, I think BioWare was just being lazy, especially with the eyes. And it really doesn't put a solid argument together in my mind. It doesn't really argue its case. It just proves, it shows a lot of random facts that could lead into this. That's not really complete, but they could lead into this greater theory about what's going on. My second problem is that it gives BioWare way too much credit when it comes to what's going on. Even if that's exactly what they planned out. Even if the indoctrination theory is on the money, it still doesn't give us closure. It does not give the resolution we deserve with the end of the Mass Effect series. Now, most likely, there's been a lot of assumptions that this is going to happen, but most likely they're going to go to an MMO or a solid multiplayer experience after this game. Or maybe they're going to tell a story other than Shepard's. Who knows? Who knows what Mass Effect 4 is going to be completely honest, but a lot of the speculation is focused on it being an MMO. Point being, we still, in the game, the $60, $70, $80, or $110 that people spent on that box copy did not have the end of the game. The end of the game was left out. Even if the indoctrination theory is 100% correct, we still don't know how the game ended. They're selling a product. And if the indoctrination theory is accurate, they're selling a product that was not finished. And in that case, you bring the Better Business Bureau and the FTC into this and claim damages. Now that's something I would love to see if that's accurate. If it turns out that's exactly what they wanted to do. They sold an incomplete game against what they advertised. That's my second problem. My third problem, if the indoctrination theory is correct and they sold an incomplete game, they planned to extort, and I use the word extort very clearly and very directly. They planned to extort the gaming and Mass Effect 3 community to buy the end of the game that should have been included. It should have been included. If you make a game, you include the end of the game in the goddamn game. That's pretty much good business sense. I mean, let's take another example of this. Let's say we had this same kind of issue with, what's another great single-player game that came up in the last couple of years? Let's say God of War. Why not? Pulling something out my butt. God of War didn't ship with the last 20 minutes of the game. And they instead decided, oh, that's going to be a secret reveal, DLC a couple months later. And the company decided that beforehand. You wouldn't buy the game if you knew about that. But chances are, the company's not going to tell you that ahead of time. They're going to let you buy the game and then find out you didn't even buy the ending yet. And you have to spend another $10 or $15 just to buy the ending. You would be livid if you had to do that. You would be pissed. Just as the Mass Effect 3 community is. And anyone that says we are whining or we are complaining where it really shouldn't be happening in the first place, or we need to shut our mouths and get back in line, no, they're indoctrinated. And I say that in reference to an article I was linked earlier in the day, and that'll be the third link in the bottom of this description here. It's to Bitmob. Wonderful article by John Burkhart. which actually compares the retake Mass Effect effort to social indoctrination. And that's actually the very top of the article. And he goes into great detail as to why exactly we need to oppose this. And it's not because, we hate EA or we hate BioWare or because it's we want to cause, disruption to a big company. That's not it. It's because we bought a product. We deserve to have the full product. We are not going to get back in line. We are not going to let ourselves be indoctrinated into the greater community by sitting down and shutting up. We're going to express our opinions. We're going to be those special snowflakes, as horrible as it sounds, but it's pertinent in this situation. We're going to cause trouble. We're going to rock the boat. We're going to shove a monkey wrench into the gears. That's exactly what Retake Mass Effect is all about. The Rob and Dan Show, as a singular unit of a whole two people, completely supports Retake Mass Effect 3. And I certainly hope we get that free DLC that we all deserve, that shows that solid resolution of all the issues that happened, of those 16 or 18 different endings that we were promised. I know it's not high as that number. I'm over-exaggerating. The point being, though, we need the endings we were promised. We need that solid resolution. We need to see our choices come to fruition and see how it affects the greater galactic community. That's what we deserve, having paid as much money as we did for these boxed copies at times of Mass Effect 3. If you disagree, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. If you agree, I'd also love to hear about it in the comments. You can Twitter me at twitter.com/Leto, L-E-T-O, or you can email the show at therobanddanshow@gmail.com. That's therobanddanshow@gmail.com. This is only the first of many special comments, hopefully in the near and far future. With that being said, thank you for listening. You can hear us next time on The Rob and Dan Show next Monday.